Up in the valleys of West Yorkshire, in a place called Calderdale, people once spoke about a giant. Now, it wasn't a creature from fairy tales, and not something that came down from the hills. It was a man. It was a man who lived here, worked here, and walked the same steep valley paths that everyone else did. And yet, by the time that the story settled, people said he was a giant. Now, Calderdale was never an easy place to work. The valleys were built on mills and quarries and long days of hard labour. Stone had to be cut from the hillsides. Blocks had to be hauled down narrow tracks. And men walked miles between villages just to reach their work. Strong men lived here. They had to. But now and then, someone stood out. There was a man that people remembered for his strength. Broad-shouldered, quiet. A man who carried tools over the moors and worked the stone without much talk. No one wrote his name down. But people, they remembered how he worked. They said he could lift stones that others struggled with. They said he could haul a loaded cart when the wheels stuck in the valley mud. And they swore that he walked from one end of the valley to the other without slowing once. And after a while, people began saying something else. They began to say, "That man's built like a giant." At first, it was just a way of speaking. But stories travel in strange ways. They pass from one worker to the next, from one village to another. And with each telling, the man grew a little larger. Someone said that he once lifted a quarry stone that took 3 men to move, and someone else said he carried it by himself. Someone said that he walked the ridge in the dark with a load across his shoulders that bent the wooden pole clean in half. And before long, people stopped saying he was like a giant. They simply said that there had been a giant in Calderdale. Now years passed, and the quarries quietened, the mills changed, men came and went through the valleys. And the man himself was gone. But the stories remained. Because the strange thing about memory in places like this is that hard work can grow into legend. And sometimes a man who lived a perfectly ordinary life, carrying stone, walking hills, working from dawn to dusk, is remembered in a very different way. Not as a labourer, not as a quarryman, but as something larger. So if you walk the steep paths of Calderdale today, past the dry stone walls and the old quarry scars in the hills, you might hear someone say that giants once lived here. And in a way, they might be right. Because sometimes a valley remembers a man by turning him into a giant. And in Calderdale, the hills are steep, the stones are still heavy, and every now and then you wonder just how strong a man must have been for a whole valley to remember him that way. And if you ever walk the old quarry paths alone at dusk, remember this: some giants were never giants at all. Some were simply men that the valley never quite forgot. This has been Giles Narrates, and in Calderdale, the hills still remember.